I just came back from a meeting. They had a group of blacks and whites in one area, and they were talking about racism. Nobody talked about racism. Instead, it was a white woman, up there, and she began telling the story of who she is and where she comes from and how she goes around helping underprivileged people, particularly in urban areas. And it just seemed like the longer she spoke, the angrier I got inside. It bothered me because it made me realize how desperately white America seems to want to help us in our cause. But when I got the mic and tried to explain to her what the solution would be, her response to me was, paraphrasing, "I hear what you're saying, but this is what I want to do." What I said to her was, in so many words, I have two 21-year-olds, and after raising children for 21 years, you have to learn how to take your hands off of them. Stand aside and let them live their own lives. I mean, you've given them, hopefully, you've given them everything that they needed in order to go forward and live their lives. So you have to trust them to be able to do the right thing. I mean, they fumble from time to time. Sometimes they don't get it right. Sometimes they actually need support in whatever field that might be, economically, mentally, physically, spiritually. But overall, you need to just stand aside and let them do what they need to do for themselves. Well, so is the same scenario for white people. They go all around the world helping people, but it seems like the problem never gets better. And what I said to her was simply, take your hands off, because you can't allow a culture to truly be free unless you take your hands off them and let them figure it out for themselves. Racism stems from others outside of a culture that's targeted wanting to put their hands on the target in question, instead of taking their hands off and allowing them to become and flourish and evolve into the culture that they're meant to evolve into. But again, her response, and like every other person in that room, seemed to have the same attitude. Well, here's this renegade black woman, and she's speaking her mind, and we don't like that. In fact, with that being said, this isn't the first time that I've been in meetings like this, and this isn't the first time that I also encountered, what do you call, well, I will just say, I don't know what to call this black woman. I really don't have a word for her. But she kept shunning me, you know, like she wanted to get me off of the mic. I mean, I wasn't long, I wasn't, you know, overbearing, I wasn't rude, I wasn't, you know, angry or anything of that nature. So I can't even see why she wanted to push me off of the mic. But again, it isn't the first time that I've had black women shun me when I spoke my mind. And the thing about it is, when we come into these group settings where it's interracial, we have to stop and question what their motives are for helping us. Because if they truly wanted to help us, then they would simply mind their own business. Like I said with the analogy of the parenting, I mean, the Western world is very, very powerful in comparison to other third world countries and other countries of the world. So why is it that they have to have their hands in everything? Why is it that they have to interfere with everyone's cultural lifestyles? Why is it that they have to intervene on everyone else's affairs? Because like any problem, it can be resolved once that culture learns how to figure it out for themselves. That's the only way that any culture can learn. And what I said to her also was that we as blacks, we don't even love ourselves. We have that issue where we just don't love ourselves. I mean, we're so disrespectful to each other. When we walk in public, we rarely ever smile and say hi to each other. We're always bitter. We're always, trying to take advantage of one another. And it's tiresome. But it all stems from, self-hatred. And after, a culture of this magnitude, I mean, we're huge, we're worldwide, but we're hated so vastly by everyone. And so by us being vastly hated by everyone, we're hated within our amongst ourselves, in our own communities, our neighbors, next door neighbors, our church members. And I was going to speak on that originally, self-hatred and self-esteem. But when I came back from this meeting, it just made me realize how important it is for us to get our shit together. What we need to do is learn how to build our own self-esteem by speaking to each other and dealing with each other and dealing on the fact of self-respect. Building our communities based on a foundation of respect, morale, and principle. These are the things that we lost because we're scatterbrained. And rightfully so, because everywhere we go, people are interfering in our lives. You have the European nation, they're everywhere. They're in everything that we do. This woman sat up here and said she's into this and she goes over to this college and she's in this high school, and what she wants to do is implement something in the elementary schools, and what she wants to do is she wants her group to do this and do that. I mean, why are you in everyone's business? Why can't you allow us to do what we need to do for ourselves? Why can't you just take your hands off, mind your own business, and continue building the culture that you were fit for? Because in my 30-some odd years, what I've come to realize is that most whites can't do that. You tell them to stop sticking their nose in places that don't belong, they only get angrier. They don't stop. In fact, it makes them push forward to helping more people. Helping. Because again, when you help people, you do what's necessary for that culture. And what's necessary for our culture is for other cultures to simply mind their own damn business. I mean, if we destroy ourselves and have some casualties in the process, then that's extremely necessary. Because sometimes we have to weed out the bad seeds from the good ones. But every culture has gone through that. We're the only ones that aren't allowed to go through that. I just wanted to touch on this topic because, again, I hope you would spread this, share it, whatever you have to do to just get the ball rolling, to just get the thought process going about what is real racism. Racism is not someone not liking you. It's not allowing the other culture to truly be free to be that culture. What? That's what racism is. My name is Issa, and again, I hope you share this message.